of that piece. I can redesign my puzzle of life. So, yeah, good point there today for all of us.
Adam, also, too, you talk about abuse, and a lot of times people will say, this is my choice, it's my belief, it's my limitation. And just as you share in your book, again, the book is Divine Genius, you talk about the shamanic journey, just simply step into the space and trust. And a lot of times people will say, but I am trusting it. The point is that it's displaced trust. Who are you trusting? What are you trusting? And what is the path in which you are setting your shoes upon? Many times people will say, but they do this for me, they do that for me, this is what I believe, this is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. And to set all of that aside is very unnerving to the identity, unnerving to the ego, and definitely unnerving to the heart and soul, because you go, whoa, wait a minute, that's what we're made out of. That's what you have constructed us to be. In other words, as I share in the show many times, inside our soul essence, the I am is just a ball of glitter. Truly, our human identity is this wetsuit with all of these badges on the front of it, in which we've designed that constructs us so others can see us. So in essence, are we willing to say, can we unzip the wetsuit? Can we let go of the badges? Can we say, step into a space and trust? That's very vulnerable. Many people will say, you know what? No, not in this lifetime. Because just as you share in your book, are you willing to come out alive? Many people are just saying, no, I'm taking my wetsuit with me, and I'll pass on. And we see this now in the year 2021. There's a lot of people taking the exodus. They're opening up their exit door. They're saying, it's time. See you later. Right. I'll come back on a higher plane. And that's A-okay. But the point is, where are you? So what you and I are asking today is, where are you? And what is your moment of time showing up today? Yes?
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And these are extraordinary, challenging times and testing us in every way, biologically, physiologically, psychologically. And so, if in fact you want to give up on yourself, then go right ahead. That is your choice. And this is not to be insensitive to anybody. But for those of you that are on the edge, that don't know which way to turn, am I going to turn to giving up on my soul? The data is tragic and sad right now, what's happening in the area of alcoholism, overdoses, suicides. Those are very, very tragic and very dark data, and we're not hearing about it, but they're at record levels everywhere around the world. And the point of the conversation is, are you turning into your own darkness? And what we refer to in shamanic traditions is the walking dead. In other words, we're here, but our soul, our lives are dead. We're not alive anymore with passion. We have forgotten our purpose. We've just lost our way. And that is a choice. No person, no money, nothing can save or rescue an individual that has decided against their own soul, and they decided against their greater service to the planet, because everybody matters. Every single human being is contributing to the planet. And are you wanting to contribute in a negative way, or do you want to contribute in a positive and uplifting way? So this is a great choice that's happening now more than ever, and it's just going to be ramping up, and it's going to be getting more intense. And we haven't seen nothing yet in this regard. So this is what you bring is key, and I want to share two key things around this. Well, one is a teaching from A Course in Miracles, which I'm an 18-year student of A Course in Miracles, and it says that the outside picture is a reflection of an inward condition. In other words, if our perceptual lens is myopically focusing on This person's doing that. The world's going to a hell in a handbasket. By God, our politicians can't agree on anything. Oh, look at the CNN and Fox News and the BBC and everything around the globe. If we're focused on that picture and seeing what we see in a dark, cloudy, this is what's happening in our hearts and in our souls. And this is something that is very defeatist. And it's in its own way, I'd like to say it's the tragedy of the soul, because the soul is here and yearns for its ultimate light of liberation, of being freed into the truth of who we are. And this is the invitation of our time. So if that's what you're feeling, then that's a place to be, to my second point, and that is, see things for how they are, not for how you want them to be. In other words, we want to see things that justify our belief system. We see it in our politics. We see it in our culture. We watch media and film and things that are justifying the way we are experiencing life. See, there it is. That person's doing the same thing. That doesn't mean it's right for you. So this is a great opportunity to come into a place of unlearning that way, those ways of thinking, because those ways of thinking, as I share in the Divine Genius, Dr. Jeanette, is that the way of thinking it can be sourced back to one problem. It's one problem, and that problem is a thought. And there was one thought that every single human being has or had at one time. And that is the thought that we are separate from each other, that we are separate from our planet. And in that thought creates an individuation that we are, in our own way, are alone, and we need to fight for life. We have to be seen. We have to be all these things. And this is a story, and this is the invitation of our time. So thank you for bringing that point up, because if that's where you feel and that's what you want to do and you want to give up on yourself, okay, go right ahead. Go right ahead. If that's how you want to bring what you want to bring to the world and you want to share for the children coming, go. That's your business. But here is the invitation that's available to you right now. And the invitation is to step into your soul's light, the power and beauty of who you are. And that's what I feel so alive with. So that's why I'm so happy to be here with you today, because this is the invitation. This is the invitation to be in our soul's truth, in our soul's life. So thank you for bringing that up.
I think a lot of times people will say, but that's not me, or I don't know what that means. But a lot of times, we will be going along. If you look at, you and I are both of the age, we can remember the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. People, it was set out. This is what was going on as a collective. People were getting an education. They were becoming smarter. Then they started working on their body to have a perfect body. Not the 1990s was all about plastic surgery or, some kind of counseling or, how big was your house. And then if we look back now, as we turned into this next century, many things are starting to fall away. We'll say, oh, but it must have been something I did wrong. It must have been something that was wrong about me. But in essence, just as we see, we are all on this path of this soul journey at the same time. And the point is to realize that there's everyone around you that is having similar stories. It's just showing up in different ways. In other words, if you take that alphabet and just throw it up into the sky and it'll come down in words, it's just all the same stuff. It's all the same alphabet. Yet when we're really talking about the soul journey, it's totally a different type of interacting with the world. It's about cosmic waves. It's about energy feeling, energy healing, energy medicine. It's about knowing your heart and your soul, and it's different. Well, what really truly happens is that when you get to a point where you really make a profound shift and you can look back in retrospect and just sit there and meditate on, you go, holy crap, I cannot believe the world is so different. And look at everything about it. That's when you actually, instead of standing at the wall and banging on it, trying to get through it to the other place because you're not in the right place, it's when you get to the other side and the wall becomes almost as if like a sparkling kind of sheer curtains hanging from the window blowing in the breeze. Because you can see everything over there and you say, whoa, none of that is me. I'm still here and I'm still okay. So that's truly what we're talking about in the book about evolution, that you talk about involution. And we really look and we say, wow, I'm on this side. And there is no going back. You may experience and sense things that are going on within that wave. However, it still doesn't stick to you. It isn't part of you. But it may pass through you. It may try to knock on your door. But that's okay, because we're still human in this plane, so to speak. Don't you think that what we're really talking about as we come to the close about divine genius is like when you're on that other side, that's when you can go, whoa, right?
Well, most certainly, I think the key here is that as we move through our evolution, is clearly the idea of what I'm sharing in the book is the invitation to move through your own journey consciously.
Right.
In other words, we're not living in an unconscious experience, but it's the invitation to pay attention to your life, obviously self-care, self-love, these type of things, to really start to build that one little love crumb at a time, so to speak. And, as we move down that path and the journey, all of a sudden, like you shared, begins to illuminate our whole life experience. I'm a big believer that the greatest gifts that I've experienced have been A, in business, my failures, B, my experiences that I've had to learn from my mother and my father, for example. My children are teaching me so much, but to embrace the challenges of our time, because when it comes to the end of the day, we move beyond the stories, of course, but we're still in the whole of it. These are two sides of the same coin, as the metaphor goes. But these are the things that bring us to life in our own way. So as we move into embracing those gifts of our pain or suffering and challenges, we set ourselves free. And then and the proverbial other side is a life that is offering us the authenticity of the soul, the genius that I call. The genius within you is your illumined light of your soul, the love that you are, that all of us are. And in that place of embracing ourselves, we experience that sovereignty, that liberation that the soul is yearning for, that wants to let it out. So that's the idea here, and I think it's a beautiful journey we are all on. And the steps that I offer in the Divine Genius are what actually moves us through the problem, because the problem of that separation and that identity is a problem you can't solve the problem within the problem, as Einstein said. You have to solve it from a whole new place of thinking. That's the very point of the book, is to solve it once and for all, instead of nitpicking at this story or that thing in my life. Go to the source of the problem. And at the source of the problem, we look at that in our separate mind of our ego, Dr. Nett. We begin to see like, and that's when we're on the other side of it. First trying to hit it and frustrate. So hopefully that makes some sense.
Yeah, I think also, too, there's one phrase in your book that really nails it, and it says trust. Trust that I am here with you. That's truly what we're talking about, right?
100%, because without trust, we can't stand in our own body, heart, mind, and soul, and our spirit. We just cannot stand there unless we begin to say, I'm going to trust myself. It's not about finding trust in the world. Trust is not in the world. The world we see that we mistrust, of course, is based because we don't trust ourselves. So we want to be in the world as safe and trustworthy people. That's the invitation of the soul. And the soul was whispering, should we stop the noisiness of our own mind and the noisiness of our media and lives? If we just sit and listen, what I found was the gentle voice of the soul that speaks beautifully. I am here for